I got 6 o'clock. We got 6 o'clock.
I'm going to share my screen. Just 1 second. How's that? There it goes. Well, no, it wasn't showing me these controls at the time. So let's go live. All right.
Ready? Okay, well, welcome to the 2021 annual meeting here at Lake Kiowa Property Owners Association. Thank you all for attending. So, call the meeting to order here, and our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So one other thing, I know we did this last year, I'd like to do it again this year. Let's have a moment of silence in recognition of the members we have lost in the past year. I know in particular it's been a hard year with COVID and everything. We've even lost some members with that. So let's do a short moment of silence. Please join me. Thank you. Okay, so we passed out minutes from the March 14th, 2020 annual meeting a few minutes ago. Anybody else need a copy? We've got a couple copies left. So everybody had a chance to review those. We have a motion to approve the minutes from last year. Okay, Jack Thies, lot
10-11.
what?
Lot 10-11.
10-11. Jamie, you got that? Okay. Barbara Fox, lot 1452. Second. So all in favor of approving the minutes from last year, raise your hand. Anybody opposed? Okay, so the motion passes. The minutes from last year were approved. Let's see. We got next. So organizational meeting of the new board happens right after this. So for our 6 continuing board members and 3 new ones will be, let's see, where's Brian? Are we meeting in the Southwest room?
In the boardrooms.
In the boardroom. Okay. Boardroom right after this. And then there will be a board meeting on Monday, right?
Correct.
And do you have a date yet for your orientation?
Yes, Thursday, the 18th, 9 a.m.
Okay, all right.
Golf carts required.
Golf carts required. That'd be a more interesting one than any other orientation meetings held before. Okay, so election report. So I guess I'm actually doing the election report. Bill has, I guess, decided not to come. That's okay. So let's go with the election results here. Okay, we had a total of 732 members voted, almost 55% using our electronic system. And the next slide, our board candidates, we had Corky Cahoon, Steve Davis, Nancy Jackson, Pete Mason, John Roach, Tom Sledge were our candidates. Let's give them a round of applause. It's a very important decision to make, whether you want to run or not. And of course, if you are elected, it's a very big job. So I want to thank each of the candidates that expressed interest in that. So, okay, our winners are Corky Cahoon, Nancy Jackson, and John Roach. So I do want to point out that we had a tie for third place. So Pete Mason and John Roach tied. And so when our secretary, Jim Fox, notified them of that, Pete thought about it a while and then he graciously decided to concede. He'd been on the board before and John had not. So he thought it'd be a great time for John to serve. So I really appreciate Pete stepping up and doing that. So, okay. So welcome Corky, Nancy, and John. Good luck. Okay, and then we voted on had the resolution to use any excess funds in the future. So it says resolve that any excess of membership income over membership expenses for the year ending on December 31st, 2020 shall be applied against the subsequent tax year member assessments as provided by IRS revenue ruling 70-604, something we do every election. So votes in favor were 614 or 91%. So that proposal passed. Okay, next one. Okay, so we had a couple of proposed bylaw changes, actually 4. So bylaws may be altered, amended, or repealed, and new bylaws may be adopted by the vote of 2/3 of the members voting. So you don't need 2/3 of the total members. You just need 2/3 of the members that vote in the election. So that's different from how our covenants are changed. So proposal 1, add the Lake Management Reserve Fund to the oversight responsibilities of the Impartial Ways and Means Committee. So votes for were 602 or 83.5%, greater than 2/3. So that proposal passed. Proposal 2, designate the Lake Management Reserve Fund as a restricted reserve fund exempt from the $400,000 spending limit found in bylaw section 703G. Votes for that one, 491 for, 230 against, just over the 2/3 we needed, so 68.1%. So that proposal passed as well. Next one. Number 3, clarify the differences between our 4 reserve funds that have been approved by our members in 2 categories, restricted and discretionary. Votes for on that one were 619 or 85.8% versus 102 against. So that proposal passed as well. Number 4, it updates association business policy for internal controls by increasing the authority for signing a check for non-budgeted or non-board approval expenditures from $1,000 to $1,500. So that was passed several years ago, and of course inflation now, $1,500 we felt was more appropriate. Votes for there, 571 for, 150 against, so 79.2% for. So that proposal passed as well. So all 4 of those bylaw changes did pass. Okay, so I mentioned the organizational meetings. I guess we can go to the next one there. All right, I'm going to recognize our both returning and departing board members. So our 6 returning board members, Randy Romines will be in his 3rd year. Thank you, Randy. So Sam Samuels, currently Vice President of Board of Directors, will be in his 3rd year as well. Thanks, Sam. Jerry C. in his 3rd year. Thank you, Jerry. Jim Adams in his 2nd year. Thank you, Jim. Jim Fox, 2nd year. Thank you, Jim. I don't think Kathy Gray made it back yet. She was coming back from Port Aransas, as I recall, something like that. So I think she was going to try to listen in by Zoom on her phone while they're driving. So hopefully she can hear this. So Kathy in her 2nd year as well. Okay, so departing board members. So we got Clark Enright. Clark, I want to say a great thanks to you. Real appreciation for all you've done. So Clark has served as the facilities chair. And I guess really one of the biggest jobs on the board is treasurer. So we sign a lot of checks here. You know, when Clark goes on vacation, I have to go and sign, so, or somebody else. And so we sign a lot of checks. And then Clark has been really diligent about just making sure we've got everything accounted for properly. And so thank you very much, Clark. You've done a great job. Steve Wonderland, be leaving as well. So Steve has chaired the Lodge and Tavern Committee. Last year he was secretary. I think this year is assistant secretary. If you don't know Steve's background, he's perfect for the Lodge and Tavern stuff because he ran a whole bunch of restaurants, including the Lodge for a while, right? So Steve's done a great job as well. It's been a real pleasure to work with on the board. So thank you, Steve. Then I'm rolling off as well. Hallelujah. I enjoyed my time. It's a great group of people to work with, but it's time for some new blood. So, okay, next slide. Another big job is committee chairpersons. So, and you'll notice a lot of the board members were committee chairperson. We have several of these committees that it requires a board member. So they kind of get double duty or sometimes triple duty, you know. Jim Adams, how many committees were you on, I think, at one time?
Three, four at one time.
Four at one time. Yeah, we had the ad hoc legal counsel one. So that'll keep you hopping, you know. Jim heads up the ACC. I've done that before. That one meets twice a month. So it's a lot of work. So bylaws, Corky Cahoon has done a great job on that. Celebration committee, Jerry, Norma heads up our communication committee. And then I want to say a special word of thanks to Kathy Gray for jumping right in on the COVID-19 ad hoc committee. We established that the very first board meeting with this current board of directors. So that's when it hit, you know, right? Almost 1 year ago. And I want to say thank you to her and her team. I know Dave Porter, one of the local physicians in our community, was very instrumental in just getting our attention about how serious this situation was and coming up with the team. So thank you, Kathy. I hope you're listening. Kathy also heads up the election committee. Clark, I mentioned the facilities committee. Randy, the golf committee. Human resources, Gerald Smith, and then generally all the executive council of the board of directors serves on the human resources committee as well. Kathy also heads up information systems committee. So you can see how busy Kathy has been. Lake management, Jim Marfus. Land use, Lori Brendel. Lodge and Tavern, Steve Wonderlook. Long range planning is Jim Adams. Nominating committee, Jerry Slater. Parks and Recreation Committee, Jim Fox. We have a kind of an ad hoc recycling committee. We can probably kind of move on now. We have a recycling program being implemented from an external group here that Kathy is leading that. Rules enforcement, Mike Brindle. Safety and security, Sam Samuels, another board member. And Ways and Means, Brent Reed. So let's give all of these people a hand. Important job. So I think I got all the committees. We've got a bunch of them. So.
Got a new one.
Okay, I also want to recognize our staff, our key staff members. You'll notice here a lot of first-year members. So we've been really busy with hiring new folks, replacing folks, but we've also had folks like Brown in his 37th year, you know, so Our new community manager, Brian, would you stand up for those who have not met you yet? So Brian has jumped right in and we're really excited to have him.
Thank you, sir.
So he had a background with some of the big developments like Sun City and Dale Webb and things like that. And his insight has been extremely valuable and a whole fresh set of eyes on everything. So we're really excited to have him. Crystal has done a great job as our controller now. So thank you, Crystal. New Chief of Security, your second year is Tracy. New compliance officer, Michael Fife. If you haven't met him, he seems like a great guy. LeaAnne in her second year.
Third year.
Your third year,
Mhm.
okay.
I'm in my third year.
Well, I sent this to you to review. Chris Widner in his second year. Golf course superintendent, very important job, and we're glad to have Brown now for Brian Brown in his 8th year. And I mentioned Brown before, 37 years. Scott Manning, another longtime employee in his 9th year as IT manager. We have a new legal counsel, not employee, contractor, so James Tidwell. So lodge administrator, Penny, is in her 7th year. And we have a new working chef starting next week, right?
Mhm.
Next week, Vincent Williams coming to us from Colorado. So we're looking forward to that as well. Thank you, Jeff. And then Lake Kiowa would not be Lake Kiowa without all the things that it offers up here. We have an immense number of community clubs and organizations, and pretty much all of those take volunteer support. And so we appreciate everyone who heads up those organizations. And we,
Sorry.
Yep.
Trying to move that out of the way.
Very, very appreciative for all of you who participate and help run these organizations. So thank you. Next one. So, and then we have a lot of very valuable partners that are separate entities. Indian Creek Volunteer Fire Department. So Lake Kiowa Special Utility District. I want to take a special moment to say, remember that is a separate entity. I know we had issues with the water and the deep freeze of 3 weeks ago. And so that's something that new members don't fully understand, and maybe even some longtime members, that is a separate entity, separate manager, separate board of directors. So of course, Callisburg is a great school system, Pintex Energy, Nortex, and many others that do things out there. So now I'm going to kind of go into the state of the community and a look back at the past year. What a year it was, right? So next one. So let's start at the financial review. So one thing we did past year, we transitioned from a July 1, June 30th fiscal year to a January 1 through December 31 fiscal year. So that took a lot of work from our accounting folks, our community manager, everything. And you may, one thing that also resulted in, when we set your monthly dues, that was for an 18-month period. So, and in fact, we kept it, we didn't raise it at all. So keep in mind, that was flat for, the past 6 months, and now for, well, I guess the past 8 months, and going forward through the end of this year. We had another clean audit. Our CPA firm is Timothy DeVolt and Company, which, by the way, is also, I guess, the election judge now that we've gone to electronic voting. They what do they do? Attest to it, I guess. Attest to the results. So for the 12-month period on our old fiscal year, July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020, revenue exceeded expenses by $56,000. That's an audited amount, so that's already been audited. And then for our 6 months period, June 1 through December 31, revenue actually exceeded expenses by $273,000. That's a large amount that has not yet been audited. One thing we know of because of weather delays and things like that, several things did not get done. Road work, fertilization, golf course, things like that, kind of will impact the 2021 fiscal year budget. With the COVID situation, we did close down the lodge for a while. We went to pickup only service, restricted hours. So we requested and received Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP loan, from the government in the loan amount of $80,000, which allowed us to keep all of our lodge staff fully compensated. That includes tips during the time when the dining service is either closed or restricted. We are anticipating loan forgiveness for the full amount. So that was a good program we took advantage of. Of course, we passed the Lake Management Reserve Fund, and we implemented that. So that is $12.50 a month beginning on July 1, 2020, but kept the total of our maintenance fee, ARF, and car fee flat, $255.75 per month for an 18-month period, as I mentioned, ending December 31, 2021. Next slide. So these are our fund balances, our general funds and fund balances. General funds, almost $853,000. ARF, $1.732 million. ARF, $515,000. Lake Management now has accumulated, as of the end of January, $127,000. So our total fund balances is $3.229 million. Compare that to 1 year ago, $2.937 million. And we have something sitting out there just right over that way, I guess, that we completed this past year and paid a lot of money for, yet we were able to increase our fund balances. So that was a very positive result. Robust construction has continued at Lake Kiowa this year. So you can see in 2020, we had 28 new home starts for the most permit funds ever for just new house starts. If you look at 2016, anybody remember what happened in 2015, 2016? Hailstorm, right? So when we have a massive hailstorm, we have a lot of permits. So that was a really big year. So this year we didn't have that, but we had a lot of permits, and almost equal the total amount of revenue from our permits as we did in 2016. So Dallas-Fort Worth, the metropolitan area now exceeds 7.5 million people. That's the 4th largest in the United States. And it's just getting closer and closer and closer. So I just fully expect the demand for houses out here to continue. And of course, if you read the real estate ads in the communique, boy, they don't last long at all. So it's just amazing demand for houses at Lake Kiowa. And I still think it's one of the greatest places to live. And I'm not surprised other people feel the same way. So, like I said, at our very first action, one of our very first, at our first board meeting of this new group, we set up a COVID-19 response team with Kathy Gray volunteering to chair that. An enormous amount of thanks go out to her and her team. We also had close to a dozen extra emergency board meetings, a lot of them right around those early early times with COVID, trying to figure out how to respond. So we learned how to use Zoom. So it took a while to get the audio and everything right. Hopefully we're getting better at that. But lots of extra work and thought went into that. So there's no doubt pretty much every resident in Lake Kiowa has been affected in one way or another by the pandemic. So people have lost loved ones, they've been infected themselves or had family members that are infected. Certainly had to dramatically change things that you did, whether it was travel, whether it's your job, whether you're in school, taught, things like that. Just so many impacts on our community. So fortunately, vaccines have been developed and are being distributed. Hospitalizations are down, so hope is on the horizon. So we're not totally out of the woods yet, so continue to be smart, but at least we're looking forward to a better year 2021. Next. So we still celebrated 4th of July. It's one of the best things, people look forward to out here every year. We had to limit some things, no kid rides, no cake walk, no Dunkin' booths, things like that. But we still had a great time with our parade and our fireworks and things like that. So we're looking forward to even better, more activities this 4th of July. And in fact, I guess we got some things coming up for Easter that sounds like a lot of fun. So I think Brian and LeaAnne have been instrumental in that. So we did complete the new pavilion. It looks great. So Randy Howell and his team jumped right on that and did a great job. We held the dedication on October 9th, 2020 there. You can see the folks up there. That was actually the same day as Charlie's retirement party. So we did it right after. Next. So I mentioned Charlie there. There's his retirement party there. You can't tell who that is over there in the middle picture. That's Lisa Bohanna, of course. Always entertaining. So, and then Brian, again, we're so excited to have Brian join our team here, and we think he has brought a wealth of experience to us. We welcome him. Oh gosh, second coldest temperature in history in Lake Kiowa this past February. I would have thought it was the lowest ever, but Ronnie Young, who's been here like forever, he mentioned one. What did he say? 1983, Brian? Do you remember? There was one even colder, believe it or not. So, but gosh, man, that was cold. Electricity on and off, on and off, on and off. We were fortunate, never lost it for more than 30 minutes. Other people where transformers blew on several on the east side I know of were out longer. So, and then the water issues for about a day. But when you look at the state as a whole, a week after that thing, we still had half of the state without clean drinking water. So like Kiowa, we had our issues, but I think we came out pretty well. Yes. Okay, so one of our outstanding issues we've been dealing with for a while now deals with our dam and the spillway. And so when we say dam spillway, sometimes there's an N on there, sometimes there's not. So 2017, TCEQ notified us, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. They regulate dams and all sorts of things nowadays. They notified us that an inspection of the dam, as well as a review of the downstream area, would necessitate a change in the dam hazard classification to significant hazard, from significant hazard to high hazard. So, however, they noticed they told us it had nothing to do with the structural integrity of the dam or anything. It was just development downstream from us. So houses built in floodplains, down there, if the dam collapsed, they call it the inundation area. And any house that would have more than 1 foot of water in it, if the dam collapsed, was considered in the count. And you could only have like 3 things or something like that. Once you got above 3, then you had an issue. So we contracted with Bullock, Bennett and Associates, a civil engineering firm, to determine how best to respond and figure out what the potential cost implications were. So next slide. Their initial estimate was kind of set us back. They said it could cost anywhere from $1.2 million to $2.5 million to correct, or to basically we have to increase the size of the spillway, which is not an easy task. But they noted that the hydrologic and hydraulic computer models used to determine the hazard rating, they were 30 years old. They suggested that we update them and see what the results told us. So we went on and we hired them to do that. So we did spend quite a bit of money doing that. They also took a survey, actual on-the-ground survey of the dam, and found out some interesting things. And so they have now determined that it would be much less expensive work required to meet the standard by TCEQs. So we don't actually have to mess with the spillway. We just have to raise a portion of the dam. Basically, I guess that would be the west side west of the spillway. There's no road on it or anything. Just raise it up a little bit, because it turns out that's lower than the other side of the dam. Cost of that, much less, $400,000 to $600,000, much more manageable. But even more attractive, they indicated that it may be possible to get TCEQ to return return the dam to significant hazard, bringing these costs down even further. Once they did their studies, some of those houses downstreams, it turns out, were not in the inundation area. So there's one gravel pit, I think, and our trailer park. So even though we could tell people to get the heck out of Dodge or whatever, if a giant rain was coming, they said we really shouldn't have people parking there. So something to think about in the future. We may have to make a change there in order to avoid paying the $400,000 to $600,000 to raise the dam. Next slide. Okay, if you look at our long-range plan, so our highest priority capital projects in the currently approved plan, which is almost a year old now, replace the guardhouse. So there's a lot of action going on right there. Repair rough areas of the golf cart bridges. Some of that has been worked on now. Add an automated entrance lane to the east gate for Lake Kiowa members. So that is well underway now. Plans for it. You'll see some work, actual physical work, commencing on that very soon. Fitness center was high on the list. Continue making improvements to the beach areas. Upgrade or expand the driving range. Renovate the lodge exterior. I guess that was phase 4 of a long-term plan. You know, we did some renovations a few years ago. We added the patio, expanded the 19th hole, and then the pavilion, I think, was phase 3. So phase 4 of the long-range plan involving the lodge was some exterior updates. So you can tell anybody remember exactly how old when the lodge was built?
99.
99. That sounds right, because we moved here in 2000. So, and then some talk about constructing a bridge over either low water crossing 1 or 2. Of course, we did it over what used to be low water crossing 3, and that was a great project. And I was just amazed at the quality of bridge we got for the money we spent on that. So I want to mention now, one thing we use to update our long-range plan is survey results. Okay, so note that you only got a couple more days to respond to that. March 15th is the cutoff date. So if you haven't done that, you know, you know, if you're like me, your emails just kind of keep lower and lower and lower. And so if you just go up and search for the word survey, you'll probably find it in your top 2 or 3 emails there. And you can go right to it, and very quick, very easy to do. So, and it's great input for the long range planning committee. So be sure and do that. All right, so is everything perfect out here? No, it's not perfect ever. This is a great community, but we still have challenges or opportunities. As I said, COVID-19's not gone away completely, so we still have to be diligent about social distancing, not overcrowding rooms, things like that. The governor is, of course, easing things up with that, and just the seating in here is reflective of that. So we're getting a brand new integrated community management software system called Northstar. I think Northstar has bought up several of the modules that we were using, and so that's how we kind of got introduced to Northstar. It looks like they have a really good system. A lot of our other ones were out of date, would no longer be supported. So you're going to be seeing a lot of changes there in the next few months. Of course, the long-term health of the lake and dam, that means we need to optimize the use of our lake management reserve funds. So Jim Marfus heads that up. So you've seen some work already where we're repairing seawalls or areas of erosion, things like that. And then we'll be prioritizing how to use those funds, whether it be silt removal, things like that, or other measures to prevent silt from entering the lake. We should try to have TCEQ return our dam rating to significant hazard, so that we don't even have to say to spend the $400,000 and $600,000. That's one of the top priorities that I would see. The golf course, you know, our golf course was already one of the busiest in the state before COVID hit, and so many people took up golf, including my wife. In fact, she got serious enough about it, we had to buy a second golf cart. So, and I think that happened in a lot of households. So a lot of golfers out there, a lot of activity. That's one of the things that we've been able to do all along through COVID. So we need to manage that, though. That's a heavy load on the golf course. We still have the 52 acres west of the driving range. So what's the future of it? We have a lot of ideas on that. So the land use committee and the facilities committee both will have an impact on what we do with it. So if you're interested in something like that, be sure and let Brian know if you're interested in serving on a committee, or if you know the chair of that committee, you can call the chairperson directly and say, hey, I want to be on your committee. So be sure and do that. And if you're interested in the 52 acres, land use committee would be a good one for that. We're always dealing with, of course, road maintenance, road damage. You know, every time we started the water district, special utility district, starts a pipeline upgrade deal, we have lots and lots of areas of the road that are kind of trenched up. So we are on phase 3, is just getting ready to start. And I believe there are 5 phases of that. So we completed one just a little over a year ago. They're doing the surveying right now for phase 3. So you'll see some digging and stuff, and that's gonna affect our roads again, and drainage as well. So we're always dealing with those projects. And finally, the quality, or we need improvement of quality and service level at the lodge dining facilities. Man, I've been here since 2000, and that subject always comes up. So we're looking forward to the new lodge manager, but also Brian has a background in restaurants as well. So he's already made a lot of really good changes there. If you haven't tried some of the new dishes out there, man, I had a fried chicken one the other day. That was some of the best fried chicken I've had in a long time. So really good. So those are some of our challenges. I'm sure other people have other ones in mind too. So I think that's all I got. I have any other slides. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you, new board members. Welcome. And then don't forget about the meeting right away to select new board officers right after this. So, thank you.
Convening to announce in here.
Convening.
I mean, you're going to convene from that meeting, come back in here?
I guess we could. Did we normally do that?
No, don't do that.
I don't think we've ever done that. You'll just put out a communication to everybody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, LeaAnne, I'll let you know who the new officers, board officers are with the communications.